So we're really here to kind of promote in terms of membership of obviously the organisation, PfH or PfH Scotland, and what we can do for members to help and support them through really challenging times, not just in terms of regulation, but also in terms of the economy challenges as well. Brexit's upon us, and there'll be further changes, obviously local taxation, the impact of that. So we're really here to kind of deliver really valuable services and try and save our members some money.
What does value for money mean? It means different things to different people. The Oxford Dictionary definition is well worth the money spent on it. I like this one better. Scottish definition, a bargain. That's, again, I was trying to get the tartan lettering, but it's quite difficult to get in. In terms of main things to consider, certainly what I've seen, cost as well in your decision-making process. And we're talking about end-to-end or whole life cost, it's key. Quality is really, really important, especially nowadays. So again, the specification in terms of from the procurement side is crucial, and making sure that's meeting your end customer requirements. And the key one as well, which is touching everything nowadays and has done for a number of years, is sustainability. So in terms of the economic, the social and also the environmental benefits as well.
While Stephen was looking for tartan font, I looked to see if I could find some, I suppose, an image that told me what value for money is. This one came off Google, as you'd probably expect is where I'd find it. The only snag is that it's not quite true. Yes, I've got all the items that we should be looking at, but just because you're getting a better service and a lower cost, that doesn't mean you're getting value for money. Because it's a better service for who? It might be more service that you're paying for that you don't need, and that's an important thing. It could be lower cost, but lower cost than what? And also for me, you need to understand what the competition is. So it may appear lower, but you've got to understand what others are paying. And also, what does it include, and equally, what does it exclude? Because the things that are excluded are the things that they're going to come back and say, by the way, you need to pay me more for that. So what on the face of it may seem value for money, and most concentrate on the money bit, there is more to it than that.
Yeah, there's a balance, without a shadow of a doubt, and we've tried to get, obviously, the scales in terms of the better service or lower cost. It's basically trying to get a compromise of both. But the key thing really is in terms of the benefits of service, the impact to obviously in terms of RSLs, and also in terms of the issues with lower cost, the challenges that brings. And there's some really key ones in terms of resource. There's more management time, it's crucial. Again, lower cost is it potentially cheaper products being fitted. So in terms you've got the life, those will last. Again, it's a negativity around with your tenants as well, in terms of obviously the PR within the community as well. So there's key things, and probably one of the biggest for me as well is cutting corners to save cost. Does that potentially impact your health and safety? Another one is, if it's low cost, where are you going to be in terms of obviously the list of customers for that particular supplier or contractor? Are you at the top or are you down the bottom? So again, there's some really core issues that spring to mind. Again, one of the key things that certainly I've picked out is the kind of focus areas for property and asset teams within RSLs. Again, for me, it strikes it's about quality, it's about service, cost, and it's got to be sustainable. They're the key drivers, but one of the footnote I put there is, what would the order be for your organisation? Because everyone is different. Some it is cost at the top, some it's sustainability. So we know it's different for different organisations, so it's how we can work with those organisations to improve, obviously, delivery, Mike, and probably Keith on is save them some money.
Yeah, and it's making sure that when you pick the supplier, they also know that they're your priorities and that they'll work with that.
Yeah. So some of the challenges been faced just now. Again, from what I've seen, and probably your experience as well, Mike, is unrealistic budgets. Again, not factoring in terms of the changes in the environment we're working in. Insufficient resource levels. And again, there's been constant restructuring and changes within, obviously, the social housing sector for quite some time, and it's not finished.
No, I think with that, you've got to make sure use people as you need to use them. If you haven't got enough procurement skills, pull that procurement skills, buy those in. Prioritise what needs to be done. Yeah, make sure you get that done. But pick up the other bits as you need. Pull in as required.
I think another key one as well is in multitasking as well. So people having different responsibilities. So certainly in my experience, Mike, I've seen finance people doing procurement as well, and vice versa. Assets as well, having procurement responsibility. So again, it's actually kind of advising, obviously, those individuals who are not experienced, and that's where, obviously, in terms of being a member of PfH Scotland, is we give that advice. Yeah. So that's key. Again, another one, in terms of just the staff side, is investment in training and development. Again, it's one of these things that's went down the sliding scale over the last few years because of austerity, a number of measures, reduction in budget cuts. So there's a lot of issues around that as well. So people feel, as a result, demotivated, deflated, and it's constant kind of reactive. So they're firefighting, etc. So how can we change and help that and allow them to concentrate on what their real job is, effectively, rather than all the things they're getting involved with?
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more.
Again, another key one for me is a marketplace. Certainly from what I've seen, it is a limited marketplace within Scotland. It tends to be the same pool of contractors and suppliers. There's not many new entrants to the market, certainly what I've seen. Probably one of the exceptions being the McDermott Group, again, who are fairly new on the scene and driving forward. And it's all about a quality solution, and that's key, and that's really in terms of the emphasis going forward, certainly from my point of view. Right?
It's quality and capacity. I think this is the problem. If you've got only a small pool to draw on, they're going to get to a stage where they can't expand. So, you know, you be aware of that potential risk if everybody's using the same contractor.
Yeah. Another big issue I've seen as well is the governance rules that are in place. Very onerous, very restrictive. Again, so if you're spending £10,000 or you're spending £1 million, same rules are in place. Why? Again, it's just crazy. It's a complete waste of time. Again, it should be tailored for every individual organisation, and that's something certainly I've been helping with a couple of members in terms of being able to say, well, why do you need to do that? What's the real benefit of it? Or are you just wasting your time? And time is money. And probably the other key one as well, some of the major challenges coming forward are all going to be regulatory, and that's a big issue as well. So in terms of some of the things that are happening, obviously down south, as you've seen, Mike, more examples of when it goes wrong. Everyone's good in Scotland, so I can't give any examples. Going, Mike may well jump in here for England.
Yeah, he says, give me examples of things that go wrong. The reality is, yes, there are, and you can argue out lots of things. For me, you know, and we've covered it slightly, where you've awarded to a single contractor, and the problem is, yes, you get an economies of scale, but then if it's a high risk thing, like perhaps, I don't know, gas servicing, you know, there is, and you've got an awful lot of properties, it may suit that you share that risk and that you would have two contractors rather than one. So it's understanding the risk and addressing that risk. I know that quite on a regular basis I'll have housing associations from south of the border phone me up and say, Mike, you know, we're due to put out our servicing contract. How do you think it should go? What should we include in it? And, you know, it can go wrong. Specifications are a classic, really. You've got to make sure that if you want something, you've got to include it in there. It's no use just thinking, oh, well, I'll add it in later, I'll have a think about this. That's where there's going to be additional costs because you're going to get charged for that. So always speak to the suppliers, say, look, this is what I want, and to the suppliers and contractors, this is what I want, how's the best way that I can achieve this, and work with them, and they will give that advice, and they're more happier to work with you because at the end of the day, they want to provide a good service because they want to be invited for years to come. So it is important that you work with suppliers and contractors. They are a valuable resource.
I think the key thing as well is put the effort up front. That's what it all is. When you're setting up contracts, agreements, arrangements, etc., get your resource, get it in place up front, spend the time up front, and that'll save you in the long run, rather than actually thinking, all right, we know what we want to do, and we'll just kind of go through all of a sudden we've got problems, and then it goes legal, contractual, we've got problems, have you got a backup contractor or supplier? We've all seen it many times, Mike.
Yeah, you're right.
In different sectors as well. So what can we do to help? That's why we're here. To say there's a value for money solution cycle. I don't know if you can actually see it. It's fairly straightforward. it's carry out an assessment, identifying opportunities, and that's quite in depth in terms of getting right into the weeds. That's financially in terms of within the organisation.
Yeah, we'll run through. I suppose if you go on to step one, and we'll go through in a little bit more detail. We're conscious of time and you haven't got time, but really for me, step one is about data collection and understanding what you've got at the time. You need to understand your spend. You need to understand where it's being spent, why it's being spent, how it's fluctuating. You need to understand the performance of your suppliers. Are they doing really well? Are they not? Is it right first time? Loads of data, analyse all that, work out the areas for improvement. Again, as I said, work with suppliers. They'll provide you with lots of this data, and it should be a partnership with suppliers. If you haven't got those measures and you haven't got the KPIs and you haven't got the information, really you're going to have to put it in place. Because if you haven't got that, you're not going to understand what needs addressing and why it needs addressing.
Yeah. Key one is, it's right at the title, acknowledge and address there's a problem rather than putting your head in the sand. And again, there's issues there, you might not be seeing. So that's where obviously organisations like ourselves can help and support you in that journey, because that's what it is. It's a journey at the end of the day. It's not done in 2 minutes. It takes a long time. But again, we can help and we can show the benefits in the long term. And that's what it's about. It's not short-term impact, it's long-term impact.
Yeah. Step two, for me, it's generating a plan and a strategy, because it won't get done unless you turn it into a plan. And for me, quick wins first. It's always good for the board if you're going back and saying we've improved this and we've improved that, and you can evidence that there's savings here and savings there. So hit the quick wins first, and you'll pick those up from the stage one when you're looking at the data. They become obvious. There's a few other things that at this stage perhaps you should be thinking about. Can you share procurement? As Stephen said earlier, if you've got a small association and you haven't got that many in your procurement team, maybe it's worth you thinking, well, let's procure this together. And certainly, I've got loads of examples where we've worked with there was one in Yorkshire, and we pulled 3 small housing associations together. I think it was 2 that got about 1,000 and 1 that got 2,000. And it was kitchens and bathrooms on that occasion. But we saved, the most we saved was obviously the one with the smaller one. But by that economies of scale, we saved them over 20% in what they were previously paying. So massive savings that can be achieved if you pull resources together. And, I can't say it was the easiest task, because you had to pull the specifications together from 3 different housing associations, but we managed to do that, and it was worth their while in the end. Yeah,
you mentioned two key things for me, Mike. 1, collaborate, and 2, economies of scale.
Yeah.
Simple thing, especially for smaller organisations who don't have that buying power or that leverage over the marketplace. Yeah. How do they get that? Using organisations like ourselves, but also in terms of clubbing together with other, obviously ourselves as well is key. Yeah, but that's where we can help and advise and give options, because that's what it's about. It's an options appraisal to say, what can we do for you? It's not one size fits all. We will listen to obviously the individual requirements, and then we'll give options in terms of what we can do to help. Yeah. And that includes in terms of, could be in terms of tender, through to evaluation, etc. Yeah. And there's loads of organisations we know can help with supporting tenders. One of them's here just now, A&M Bid Services. So certainly we can help point you in the right direction.
Yeah. Vendor.
One last thing as well is, when you're making decisions, get all the users involved. So everyone within the organisation, all the key functions, and then users, even your tenants as well. So speak to tenants, find out in terms of what the issues and challenges they've got, and bring that in terms of to your specification as well. I know there's lots of surveys being carried out, etc. So get involved, and you'll get a better solution. You're right.
And if you've got the tenants buy-in, it makes it far easier on board, because they'll support you when you sit down.
Absolutely. Or come out with a big stick.
Yeah. Vendor consolidation. Look at the number of people that you have got on your supplier list. Have you got too many, and if so, can you reduce those? Because it's far easier to control a smaller number than a larger number. Consider value engineering, and that's both in terms of operatives and programme. Can you get the operatives to work more efficiently, more effectively, by addressing the issue in a different way? And also, can programs be brought together? So if you're putting scaffold up to do the roof, that's the time to be thinking, should I be putting photovoltaic panels on the roof? Or that's the time to be thinking, well, perhaps I should be replacing the gutters at the same time, and whatever else. So consider combining programs.
Key one as well, right? Communication.
Yeah, you're right.
Regular meetings, reviews, assessments, basic stuff, but not a lot of people do it. Again, if you're investing millions of pounds in contracts, then you want to make sure you've got the structure in place to ensure that they work, because if they fail, it's very, very expensive. As I say, if the contractor obviously goes to the wall, you've got to re-tender, the cost of that is significant, so you want to avoid that. So it's all about doing all the legwork up front, Mike.
And I think that is, on step 3, the absolutely worst thing you can do is you've awarded the tender, contractor starts, off he goes, you walk away, and in 12 months' time you come back and you think, why am I not making the savings that I plan to make? It's an ongoing process. You've got to have those regular meetings, you've got to have those KPI reports, you've got to monitor the tenants and all the other stakeholders that are involved in that process to make sure that efficiency savings are there, that there's value for money, and whether you could be doing it slightly different to even improve on what you've got.
Absolutely. It's a key one you mentioned there is getting the end users involved, the tenants. So why not get them involved in meetings? If it's a service, a contract for a service, they're the end user, they're the customer. Get them involved in the meeting. I know it's been done, so certainly that's something that we'd be pushing for as well, because there's no better feedback than from the end customer.
I'm not sure whether you do this, but in England, when I was at the Housing Association there, every single report we took to committee, we had to have a section with value for money on, and I had to say whatever, even on quarterly reviews, I was having to say how that affected value for money, or any change or improvement to the service. I'd have to have a section that said value for money, and that was, you'd have to write a paragraph on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's part of the course in terms of justification, or the board reports or EMT reports. Everything obviously has got to be scrutinised and justified to the hilt. I think that's just normal practice, but you're right, it's how we can help and support with that, Mike.
Yeah, and I think that that it's seen as a level of governance, and so that it is looked upon.
Yeah, as long as the governance is tailored. Okay, I think that's us done. I think. Are we time? Yeah. Any questions? Sorry.
The more challenges are, it's less for more, if that makes sense. So there's been lots of restructures, changes within a lot of, obviously, RSLs, especially local authorities. I think housing associations have been impacted, not so much, but certainly in terms of the future, it is uncertain. So what we can do to contribute to obviously helping those organisations through membership, and also try to save them some money at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think it's support, really. Certainly down south, and it would be the same here, that when the cuts come in and they're reducing staffing, unfortunately places like procurement tend to get cut, or even if assets are cut, the people with the skills for putting out the tenders and the specifications, they're sometimes lost, and once that's gone, it is very difficult to put together a tender that is going to save them value for money and take into account things. So it's, hopefully they can use us as they need us to provide that support.